Tactical finally comes out of the shadows. Tactical is the biggest collector that we have over at Candy Digital, over at the DC side. In terms of volume size, you guys don't need an introduction to that aspect of him. What I'm here for is to get to the real person behind this enigma that's within his. If you've seen it in his Substack, he writes in length about his passion for why he collects what he collects, the parallels between collecting and investing. He talks about a lot of topics that's not gonna be we're not gonna be able to give this justice in this one episode. But what I do want to do is put a face to the name, and I believe you're gonna find someone who's truly special. Tactical, welcome to the stream.
Oh, thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me. Thanks for the invite. Um, Thanks to Red Carbon for kind of setting us up here. I've been chatting with him. Appreciate it. Thanks, Red.
Thank you,
Um,
Red. Thanks for the intro, man. You're right. Yeah, there's big thanks to him because he was the one who broke the ice. I wouldn't have been able to probably even pluck the courage to be able to do this. But no,
I'm
no,
just a regular dude, man.
yeah, right, right. Yeah, it's yeah, same here. I'm just a regular dude. But Tactical, did you want to kind of give give a bit of a disclaimer as to what you wanted to say before we dive into anything relatively deep, deeper as to
Yeah,
like, into the rabbit hole that we have?
yeah. No, I appreciate that extra time. I wrote a little something that I just wanted to start off with. Take it for what it is. If you read my Substack, I always say probably too often is I don't know shit. Okay. I don't know shit about the future, about anything else. So just I wrote this. I'll do this little quick disclaimer. Um, First off, what I want to say is whatever I say today or write in my Substack or any information that I put out there is never ever financial advice. At best, it's life advice. At worst, it's stupid as fuck because just like you, I really don't know shit about what the future will bring. Second, I know there's people out there maybe, hoping I agree with them or, validate their particular hopes and wishes for this space. But please, please don't take anything personally. If you're here on the DC Candy journey with us for any reason at all, thank you. I may say something in the heat of discussion that might sound like a diss to your thoughts in this space. It's definitely not meant to be that. I'm highlighting my thoughts here, and they can mean as little or as much to you as you want them to. But that's on you, and that's not on me. And thirdly, I'm a collector here through and through. I love these comics and collectibles that DC has been curating for us. So many of them.
Mhm.
But I started this journey solely as an investor, okay, with an investor mindset. So when I write and when I'm talking, sometimes I do get caught up in the financial aspect, just like many of us do. But please understand that I am both. And most of us that are still here are probably both collector and investor. So if you guys, and gals dig these, and Prez and I continue to bring you some more episodes, if this one you guys dig, some episodes will focus more on the collecting side, some will focus more on the investing side, but I'm not in this for some quick money grab. I mean, I couldn't even sell my shit quick if I wanted to. I would not have been able to build what I've built without truly loving this. And that's it. Thank you. Thanks,
Wow.
Prez, for that.
Thank you so much, man. That was beautiful. And I think it's needed. We talked about this because there's a lot of us in this space that you see a lot of videos flying around. I might have been guilty of it in the past. You know, when you start a video, you put a spin on things
Oh, for sure.
um, because that's where you hope things will go, right? For you, either in a prestige level, either on I told you so level or a financial level, whatever levels that we have. But actually, we're just right now. I want to be able to present masks, myself and you, right?
That's
We're
right. That's
using
right.
aliases, but at the end of the day, this means a lot to us. So we're sitting down and we're gonna try and figure this shit out together, right? But also
That's
enjoy
right.
it together. So no, thank you so much for that. And I don't think that's been done as well as that. So very well said. I wanted to get into this now. So um, I wanted to also just quickly focus your Substack. Um, so talk to me about. So it's called the cryptographic thought bubble, right?
Yeah.
Talk to me a bit about this.
I'm
Um,
not even exactly sure
so it's
how
in
I ended up.
Substack. Yeah, how did it start? And yeah. Just tell
Yeah.
me.
Um, yeah, I mean, I had thought about writing for quite a while about these. And then when the time was coming up where we were switching over from the Palm website to the Candy website,
Mhm,
I just really felt like I had some things I wanted to say and and put out there. And sometimes when you write stuff down, then it kind of solidifies your own thoughts and how you feel. Um, and I'm real precious about these, so I write them, and then I read them, and then I write them, and then I read them, and then I rewrite and whatever. And that's why I don't have a ton of them. I wish I could get a little more precious, a little less precious about them. But I
mhm,
did find this is getting a little further out, but I did find that Substack has a notes thing that's kind of like just a Twitter little snippet or whatever. So that lets me put some thoughts out there where I don't have to just go over them in my head too much. I can just put some stuff out there. So if anyone knows my Substack or whatever, make sure you check out the notes tab because I've been doing stuff on a daily on that. Um, but
Hey,
yeah, so I just wanted to, put some of my
honestly,
thoughts out there and connect in a little bit of a more laid back way than out on
right,
Twitter or Discord or whatever.
right,
I'm laid back, Prez. I mean,
right. And
I
also,
don't like that vibe sometimes when it just gets too
no.
crazy out there.
Hey, but the thing is, right? We're laid back, but we can also get heated, right?
Oh
When
yeah, man.
so,
Yeah, I
so
think you could feel the like
I can
some
tell,
people might be
right?
some people
So,
might be reading my Substack with like Chat GPT or whatever. You don't get the full passion unless you read them in full. I know some of them are long reads, but I think the passion comes through in the writing. I hope it does. And I just want to highlight that artwork real quick because for the cryptographic thought bubble, because my daughter
ah,
drew she drew me one day when I
oh
was sitting there.
wow,
That's my thought pose. So I'm
oh
sitting in my
nice.
chair. I'm sitting in
Ah,
my chair like
I put my thought pose on too. I like
yeah,
it. Yeah.
everybody knows I'm thinking when I'm sitting there like
Oh
this,
yeah. Here we
and
go. Here we
so
go. Here we go.
so
Yeah.
she drew that on the
Mhm,
slide one day and showed it to me. So that part of it, the face, and I'm like, I'm going to use that as the logo. And then,
that's so
so
cool.
the t-shirt art is actually mine that my daughter shrunk down and put on the t-shirt. So, and then my other daughter made a lot of the artwork that's on the sides. So
Mhm.
one daughter did the main photo of me, and then one of them put it into like Photoshop and got it all nice. And then
Mm,
I had to add that parental advisory because
mm.
when I start getting passionate, sometimes the motherfuckers come out a lot. and and so yeah, that's the story on that. I had to share that. Thank you, Prez.
Oh no, this is like this is news to me. This is the first time I'm hearing this. This is so cool. I also have one on the way, so hopefully my first one. So
Yeah, congrats,
yeah,
man.
I can
Congrats.
only imagine the joy when they start actually creating stuff for you. Man, that's
Oh,
so cool.
the
That
journey is beautiful, Prez.
ah,
You're in for a ride, man. You're in for a
that's
ride.
what people tell me. Yeah. They're like, "Do you still have time for streaming?" We don't think so, but then I'll find time. I'll find time. I hope so. I hope
Yeah.
so. Anyway,
My biggest advice for you, man, is just enjoy every second. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Don't always look forward too much. Stay in there present with them and enjoy every little moment.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Y- we're in for a treat. I'm loving the discussion. We've already been kind of talking before. Um, guys, I'm gonna link this on the bottom of the YouTube video, probably on the X post I'm gonna make as well. So no worries in trying to type this out. But let's talk about a bit about this, right? Because um, you're trying to stay away from X. I can't do it pretty much. I Discord I have managed to, but that's only because probably I can only handle one thing. Substack is a bit too recluse for me. Although I would love to start writing articles about backcows and why I love stuff. I do it on X posts anyway, but in a real non-committed manner. This is probably a great one where you get to follow why you do what you do. So please give that a read. But yeah, talk to me a bit about this and why you decided to, well, one, come out, put a face to the name now, and why you've decided to just preserve your energy, and that's why that's important for you.
Yeah, I think um, we aren't going to get into it today or whatever, but the when those leaderboards got posted, that is kind of the first time I guess I truly understood where I was at in this shit, Prez.
Yeah.
Um,
So, so how
it
did
was
people find
surprising
you?
to me.
Did people find you? How did it work? Like, how did, like, do you know what I mean? For me, you were a phantom. Even, I mean, I'm trying to be as transparent as I could be. Um, that's Web3 for you, because if you're not,
Yeah,
you're gonna get found out pretty quickly. But uh,
yeah.
where did you said that you got someone found your Substack? Is that what happened? And then you saw this leaderboard for the first time. How did it go?
I noticed, I go on the wiki. Shout out to that motherfucker. I mean, ooh, like I wouldn't be here without him for real. For
Uh,
real. That wiki is so yeah. Make sure you link to that press because everyone should go over there. If you're a collector over here in Canada, you hadn't heard of the DC3 wiki, you got to get over there. You got to
oh
get over
yeah,
there.
did a
Um,
video with him. So yes, and
oh yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Did
shout out to him, man. Good shit, man. Much appreciated. And when I do start selling, I'm gonna be hitting your Patreon account for sure. I've only sold 2 items in this whole time. So but when the bull run kicks off with this video, right, Press? then I'm gonna have to hit up that Patreon. I owe him some for sure. Um, but yeah, I like the long form on Substack. I like to ramble and just get all my thoughts out there, and it lets me,
organize.
let it. I don't have to like whatever, and I can just dip out for a little bit, and no one even, there's a couple guys over there that I chat with, and we just kind of just leave threads hang, and when you get back and chat again, and it's just laid back. Um,
But how did people
and
find you then? So what was the thing?
well, if
So
you if if you if you go to my showcases,
right,
so if you like, I did a little breadcrumb trail.
that's okay.
Um,
Um, so I'll share this, and obviously this is the leaderboard, and then right, aha,
so yeah, if you go to showcases, now you can follow. If you want to find me, you read them top few, and it's got cryptographic thought bubble, location, Substack,
mhm.
and then so I'm looking at this Substack as basically my store right
I love
now.
this. This is like, come here, let's go to the
Yeah, I
rabbit
love that cover. I love that
hole.
cover.
Come here,
You
let's
could
go
use that
here.
cover for so much, so much.
Come to the dark side, baby.
Come into the Substack.
Hey, come into the sunset. You're right. I love it.
And
I love it. You're right. You're right. It's the first, and this is great because I must have seen this, but it's gone over my head. But yes, it does lead to your. Okay, so someone found your Substack. Perfect.
yeah, so if someone sees that I bought something from them or whatever, because a lot of time, I mean, everything's on the blockchain, everything's visible. Uh, it took me a while to come to terms with that too, because I'm not a very online person really.
Right.
And so just like, yeah, just knowing that it's out there, that anyone can just look at your stuff anytime and see your buys or whatever. It took me a little bit to just come to terms with that. But now I love it. I love that fact that someone
Hmm.
can just come and check my shit out. Go,
Oh, I love
go
the
ahead.
interaction part. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It gets even
Yeah,
wilder in X because, like, ooh, wow, like when something goes down, it's pretty cool.
yes.
Okay,
So
okay, okay. All
so
right.
yeah, and that cow's my only cow. That's the the first one I bought, the one that got me here. Bought it on drop, and
Interesting.
um, I was happy with it. I was happy with it. I got the Batman black, I got the Robin red vinyl, and I got the Joker green eyes. So I can't be mad at that.
Tactical. When they said you only need one back cow, they were talking about you. They wanted you in.
Yeah,
Oh,
that back calls me. That back call that
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 is
that
good.
one's not
Yeah,
going anywhere. That
it's
one's
the one
not
of
going
mine.
anywhere.
I could literally go on a tirade the whole episode, and I won't. Maybe in episode two. But today's all about you. I wanted to pick your brain on a lot of things today. So it's cool. Someone found you, but then you said you saw the leaderboard, and so you weren't really okay. Obviously, this is a low. This is not gonna take one single answer. But what did you feel when someone approached you and gone, "Here's the leaderboard"? One, is it the first time you saw the wiki, and then why did you pull back? You said,
Well, just so I first discovered the wiki probably, a long time ago. I was putting the numbers in
Mhm,
to the wiki in order to see our additions,
mhm.
back when we had to do that when we were on Palm. So I've been on the wiki for a long time.
And this is mint order at the time, right? You're right. Yeah,
Yeah, the mint number. When you had to in Palm, when you had to look up the mint number by going like grabbing that long fucking thing and then
right. And it
dropping
was
it
mint.
into the
It was
wiki.
mint order. It was the first. And this is the thing. I completely missed that boat. Like I did. Some people made good with being there early in that trick. I pretty much cared too much about what people thought, and I'm like, oh, some people might have thought, oh, is that really gonna show? But when we went over to Candy, it did show, right? And that was
Yeah.
some crazy payout for a lot of people that managed to grind because not a lot of people were aware that that was a thing. But then
Oh
when it
yeah.
went to Candy, we're talking about mint numbers specifically. It went
Yeah.
from mint order to randomized because it's more fair. But then they kind of brought
Yeah.
back first to mint on the core, which
With
I
the
think,
new one, yeah, the new core
right,
brings it all back.
which gives me a like I'm actually on the 13. I don't even buy too much of the unless it's a snipe. I don't even go into that because I'm primarily a back cow guy. But
Yeah.
actually, I still like to get my and it's so early like that I'm on 13. I'm sure it won't be the case if there were more people that collected this way, but it's just an interesting take. So okay, so back in Palm, you were doing that, and then you were using the wiki to find the mint number, and then when you
Yes.
switched over to Candy, because they do it in MLB, they have edition numbers MLB.
Yeah. So
Suddenly,
you
the
kind of
mint
had the writing on the wall there that we'd have the edition numbers when
crazy.
they
Wow,
moved it. But that was one of my early speculations is that
and it became
addition
true.
numbers, yeah, addition numbers mean something. You know what I mean? Even if we had to keep putting them in the DC3 wiki in order to see them, I
Mhm,
always felt like they meant something.
mhm.
And so I just was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go with this. And I used to, I mean, shit. I would be putting those little things in the DC3 wiki, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth with the ones that were for sale and the ones that were, and then plop them in the wiki, see what they are. And
Hey,
the
listen,
first time,
if,
the first time I seen a edition zero pop up in that wiki, and then was like, oh shit! And it was at a price that was like doable, and I was like, I'm gonna get my first. Once I got that first edition zero, man, then that was when the beast was awakened.
look to me, right? I people judge me anyway for whatever. Like if I do good, no good deed goes unpunished. If I say
Yeah.
something bad, it goes the other way anyway. So I wish I just come back and gone the same thing you did and try and stab these as much as you could. Because at the end of the day, okay, in your opinion, and again, this isn't planned or anything, but because it's such a hot topic and we're on it anyway, why do you think collectors gravitate towards mint numbers? I guess in MLB it does. Like, people play
Yeah.
baseball card like edition numbers. Why do you think it translates over to the digital comics aspect? Because I guess in real world there's no edition numbers on comics. What are your thoughts on mint numbers then in regards to this, and why do you think eyes are drawn this way? I used to think it might be because people started at VV, but actually you said to me before that you didn't even start there. You
I
started
don't even
here.
have a VV account at the
That's
moment. Even I don't
crazy.
like. I'm just doing all DC right now.
Right. Wow.
I haven't really felt a pull over there, and I kind of like specialization to a certain
I
extent.
like
Uh,
specialization too. Hello.
yeah, Mr.
Hello.
Backcall.
Hello, Mr. Tactical.
you know,
But yeah, please go ahead.
um, so I think it brings it to what's the difference between fungible versus non-fungible. I think is the biggest thing. So if you have just a dollar bill, right? You have a dollar bill that's fungible. You can trade it for another dollar bill, and it's another dollar bill. It's worth the same. If something's non-fungible, that just like it's a one of one. Even if it's a one of many. So if there's 200 comics minted and they're all numbered from 1 to 200, they're all one of one to someone or whatever, you know what I mean? And if there's something up, and I think people should ask themselves if they are still on the fence of whether edition numbers mean anything or not. I don't know if there's people that are still on the fence there or not, but if there's something up on the marketplace for $1 and there's edition number 267, and there's another one that's $1 that's edition number 17, ask yourself truly, you're buying that motherfucking 17. That's the biggest thing I can tell you of why edition numbers matter right there. And then it's a matter of how much someone's willing to pay more. And that's the more debatable thing, is that if you see a 267 out there for $1 and someone has a 17 out there for $2, is that worth double to you? If it's out there for $10, is that worth 10 times to you? And that's where you get the debate. But I don't think there's any debate on if it's $1, you're going to buy that number 17 versus that 267. Unless you have some love for 267, and there's nothing wrong with that. And that's why I think some of these numbers, um, you can get pretty cheap out there right now. And like I said, they're one of ones. If you want to collect 420s, you can collect 420s, but someday they're going to be expensive because that's a one of one. Just I like the single digits and the low digits. You can tell that when you sort through my collection.
Oh,
That's
what a
my
collect.
thing.
Oh yeah.
uh, Thank you. um
There must be some sort of like inner, when people, when you see like celebrities flex or like rich people flex their cars and stuff, there is some inner peace that you see when you sort through someone like your collection. I mean, I'm not even talking about from the outside because um we're talking about this recently called Veblen goods. How some niche product becomes more and more looks better and better um as the price goes up. And we're talking about like how when backhouse were $1,000, how the one would I would quote, and this is obviously all objective, when like an ugly backhouse on the floor and it's like sitting at 149, that looks a lot better than what it was when it's $80. And then when it's if it goes back up to 1,000, when it goes back up to 1,000,
yeah, that's right.
disclaimer, I don't know anything, um but it was $1,000 at one point. And did the asset change? No, it's a Veblen good. It's just, I guess, if it was $50,000, everything about it is going to start looking more and more beautiful. But I guess it's similar for mint numbers. It's only when something's been sold and then it's out of your hands. And as you said, there can only be one edition number one. That it used to be, there used to be zero, but that used to be on the old platform. And in its
Yep.
own right, once it's in someone like your collection, good fucking luck. Because unless you're right, you're offering money that a lot more than what you got, then it's going to be a lot more difficult to get it off you. Am I getting this right? Is this where, again, I just want to pull the question back. I guess it happens for MLB, for the baseball card, the edition size. Do you think that phenomenon happens in other um, physical platforms? Like, never mind the digital, because I guess I know it happens in digital. It happens in physicals too.
Yeah. Um, I'm pretty sure. I mean, people, we just like numbers. You gravitate towards certain numbers. You can either be a super nerd about it and and you really gravitate towards numbers, or you can not be, but you still like have a favorite. You still, you still like number seven's your lucky fucking number. You know what I mean? You still have,
Mm,
there's numbers out there all the time.
mm,
Um, and even what I was saying, like with the fungible, like dollar bills are fungible, right? But there are also serial numbers on dollar bills. And there's actually a market for like cool fucking serial numbers on your
mm.
dollar bills if you want to go into that type of thing.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
weird, but
No, no. I guess it's kind of like digging through the rabbit hole and then sifting through like your collection and finding, I wouldn't say meaning of life, 'cause that's too much, but there is some satisfaction to this. All right, thank you for humoring me with that. And we've touched on a lot of things on that, how people found you. So you said you had to take a step back then when you saw the leaderboard. What happened?
um, I'm gonna, I'll probably skip some thoughts here or whatever, but I look at it as that's how far I've front run everybody into the future, Prez. And then it makes you start thinking like, maybe I should slow down. Maybe I should
Mhm.
just, I don't know. Just it's hard to put into words what like
No, it's a tough
uh,
question, and this is where I
it
specialize in. It's
yeah, and it's like that's what I feel I've been doing anyways, is just like people aren't um valuing these properly to me, and that's what you're saying kind of, because when they're in my collection, I'm not turning into Walmart Press. If you read my Substack, I'm not Walmart. I'm the fucking Gucci store Press.
Mhm.
I
Same. I am the
like
Gucci
I'm
store for backup. It's the same thing,
that's
right?
right. That's right. You should feel that way. You should feel that way. I let you,
Mhm.
so, if if the Walmart people want to keep selling, I'd love shopping in the Walmart bargain bin. You want to keep giving them to me, I'll keep taking them. But they ain't coming out as Walmart. They're
Right,
coming out as diamonds. They're not.
right. That's some
So
older shit right
I don't
there.
know. That's I try not. I don't want my head to blow up here or whatever. It'd be like
But
I'm not trying to. But
that is how you
these,
value your collection at the end of the day. You're right.
yeah, exactly. And everyone values their collection differently and
Right.
whatever.
Everyone's here
Like,
for different reasons. Some people, like you said, have a let's stick to the floor mentality so we can get out quick. But then
yeah,
some
and
people are here to fine tooth comb the market for what they like
yep,
specifically.
yep.
And that could be
They don't
anything.
need to stack. They're just looking for what they like. I
Right.
appreciate that. I love the market, Prez. Like the market. I'm not on Discord or Twitter or whatever talking to people about what they're collecting, what they're liking. I listen to what the market tells me. And that's what I've been doing is I look at the market and see what the market tells me. And I don't need anyone to tell me, like I'm putting this up for sale. I'm putting that up for sale. Like, no, I'll look at the market and see it, and then I'll compare it, and then I'll think about it. I don't even want to hear like the everyone's speculations. I like some mystery. I don't need to know everything. I don't want to know everything. Some people do, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you're in the market, I have my goals, which are pretty much long term. I'm trying to change my family's finances, Prince. I'm trying to like do something big, but there's plenty of people out there just flipping or, right, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to buy something and snipe something for 50 cents that someone put out there, you know, where they didn't understand the value, and you want to flip it up to $5, so you know 10x that investment. That's on you. That's awesome. You just turned 50 cents into $5. But I'm not opposed to then buying that one for $5 because I think I'm going to flip that for 10, 20, 30x in a year. So I'm not going to be mad at you for buying it for 50 cents and then selling it for $5 to me. I missed that 50 cents. So, you know, like you sniped, you outdid me there. That happens all the time. I'm not going to put some flipper on my like no buy list or something because they always beat me to shit. Yeah, good for you, man. Beat some people to some shit and flip some, do you in the market. Um, and I think this is never financial advice, but if you invest and whatever, if you can figure out what you do and what investing works for your brain style and your lifestyle, and but you got to be in it. You got to have skin in the game with real money, and then you can figure out who you are in the market. You know, I'm getting way too out there probably for you, Prez. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, no, no. Honestly, like, this is for me. It's pretty serious for us. Like you and me specifically, we have skin in the game. We put our face to the name. Not a lot of people do. A lot of people hide behind, anonymity. That's fine. Um,
Yeah,
but at the same time, you know, there is space for all of us to win. You've mentioned that a lot. There is a lot here. Emotionally, financially. I wish all of this for us, but right now the reality is, people are finding their faith wavered, but at the same
oh, for sure.
time, um, it's funny because really, for a lot of the collectors, and some of them tell me it's buy season, and they're not just saying that. You know what I mean? Like, thank you for losing faith, because then it goes to the people that do value it a bit more. So it kind of works itself out. A lot of people are saying we're dead, not just backhouse, not just with the comics. The whole digital collecting space is dead. There's a lot of physical fandoms out there. We're going to talk about that today. But I wanted to cover yourself. You are a serious man. You see value in this to change your family's fortune, but at the same time you enjoy it immensely, and you gotta be like, as you said, you actually have to enjoy this stuff as a collector, because
Yeah,
you
I
wouldn't be
put in a
around
lot of
right
time.
now, right? Because things have been tough. There are times where your faith is even questioned, but we're
For
not
sure.
here. We're here to kind of say, hey, you're not alone. Like, there's still some people that believe in this. um because back when the hype was high, let's say in digital comics like VV, let's say, and even DC has seen higher numbers and higher volume, right?
Oh
Even
yeah.
Dandy or Palm, whatever. That's easy. It's easy to believe when it's like that, right? It's quite easy.
Hmm.
It's easy when money's coming in and out. It's easy. It's easy. Like, everything is. But then when you're just putting stuff in, that's when you go, "What the fuck am I doing?" Is there a future in this? And like I could tell you, but then, me personally, you get closer to your creators. This is where innovation comes in. How do these platforms reinvent themselves continuously to recapture people's attention, imagination? It's tough out there, right?
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
I want to reel this back in. So thank you for the intro. And I think that was a quite a good one. Let's talk about your idea for artist royalties. We talked about this. What are your thoughts on this? I guess this is just the whole ecosystem of digital, maybe I need to put this artist royalties in the digital space, right? In digital comics. right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I don't, you know, I'm not an insider in any way or whatever, so I have no clue. I have no clue if artists are getting some extra loot when they're covers, or if they're a writer. If you know, I I think about cover artists quite a bit when I'm talking about this, but it's really any creator that put something into this and now it's in a new format digitally. Is I would like to know, you know, I don't need full specifics, but I would like to know if they're getting something for, you know, their art being turned into this new format, you know, especially some of the older cats, you know, like I always talk about Greg Spalenka um, in my um, in my Substack because he did well. He didn't do it. He did the art for the legendary of the Death High Cost of Living way back when that was released, or you know, he did that legendary cover, but it originally wasn't a cover for a comic book. I think it was just like a pinup page, and so DC decided to use it as a cover for this collection. And I'm pretty sure, you know, it's this man's first NFT or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, so I feel like he should have been, even if he signed contracts a long time ago, I feel like he should have been compensated something for that. Um,
So
and
is it
I don't know if he has been,
legendary?
you know,
Legendary, you said?
it's the legendary of the death high cost of living. So
Right.
he's not like he's made a living as just, you know, kind of
This one?
as an artist. Um, he's not really a comic book artist per se.
Hmm.
Um, so he did this piece a while back, you know, probably 20, 25 years ago, a while back. And
Hmm.
it was, I don't believe it was ever used. This is a digital exclusive cover. You know, I don't think it was ever used as a cover for anything before. Um,
Hmm.
and so this is kind of the one that kind of lit the fire under my ass about trying to,
Hmm.
at
Make
the
things
very least, you
right.
know, as a collector, to think like maybe at least we could get this man paid, even if DC hasn't. You know,
Right.
um,
Well, I wanted to share this one as well. So Eric, doing a phenomenal job in curating the comics for us over at DC. Made a an next post about the different exclusive cover arts that exist not in the physical but only in digital. And this is the kind of
nice.
conversation where you can definitely, probably the easiest one is, how is the royalties? How does it work? But the thing is,
Yeah,
obviously,
that's
we're going into probably even Eric's pay grade, maybe even the
yeah. I
fabric,
don't even know
the
who to
fabric of
ask.
this. Right, the fabric of the universe. But you're right. That's a good question to throw out there. Is how does this work? How could it work? Because at the end of the day, artists need to get paid, and there's some sort of ecosystem balance that it's an opportunity for creators in general to get
Yeah,
paid in
and
this new system, right?
yeah, and I love collecting these, Prez, and I don't see the artists out there, you know, shouting from the rooftops about this or anything like that. Not that they have to, but I feel like this is such an artist thing that they should be more involved here somehow. Um, and we're so small right now still or whatever, maybe it doesn't matter to anybody, but if this ever gets bigger, I feel like artists should be more involved. And at the very least, Prez, is that, you know, like those epic artist edition
Hmm.
things they've been doing or whatever, at the very least, let us know how the artists are getting paid for those, because you're calling them epic artist editions, you're putting name on these, and like I want to know the artists are cool with it. um
Right. Well, I mean, for example, right? Like I am an X a lot, so I know I've spoken to Dan Panosian. He likes my posts and stuff. I tried it with Scott
okay.
Snyder recently, but of course, is kind of like coming us across, as you said. There's a parallel in investing and collecting that they're well aware of, but at the end of
Yeah.
the day, they also have to make a living, and almost there are some people that make a living off of physical comics anyway. It's a it's a very interesting one. We
Yeah,
probably
I feel like it's a fertile ground for artists to
right.
start dipping their toes into this. And it, like I said, if DC isn't throwing them any royalties or anything for these at all, um, at the very least, us collectors can hook them up if you're buying it for that. You know what I mean? I'm
Right.
buying many of the things I buy is due to the cover art, Prez. I mean, that's I shop on the cover art, you know, a lot, and the artists who do them. So I feel personally that like the primo editions that I own of some of their artwork, you know, like the first editions, the zero editions, the issue edition matches, the final editions, those are on lockdown in my account until I can share some money with the artist. I like when you see me buy a number one edition of something, it's for me and that artist, ideally. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to do that without do what I've done here, Press, without some extra thoughts um, in
Talk to
there in regards to that. So
mhm.
um,
talk to
that
me about that. Yeah, absolutely. Because you had a proposal, right? You had this.
yeah, I've been offering it on my Substack for a long time. You know, uh, just whispering into the void, I guess. But you could go back as early as I think my first Substack of talking about doing something with artists. It's kind of grown as I've written to just like, yeah, I mean, I'd like an artist to pick something from my collection. Let's auction it off and I'll share the profits 50-50. I mean, and that's any artist out there that wants to do this. I made a Substack post, not my most recent, maybe the one right before my most recent, um, highlighting some of the issues I have that I think would be worthy of, doing something like that where we'd have
Mhm.
some interest in, like an edition zero of an artist's work. Um, I think we'd have some interest in that if we get some artist fans over here and they see that there's people over here that like love this shit, Press, like there's like we're real collectors. We're not like I can't speak for everybody, yeah, but I mean this is real, I own these things. Um, and I would like to auction something off with an artist out of my collection. You can pick whatever the hell you want. You could be any artist. You could be interior artist, cover art, writer. I don't care. Colorist. As I've gotten deeper in this, like my appreciation of the colorist
Mhm.
has really grown because
Mhm.
I look through this market a lot
Mhm.
and I see what sticks out to me like visually
Mhm.
as I look through, and a lot of times it is the colors that grab me.
Mhm.
And and then that makes you start looking at the colorist on these things, and you're like, oh, I see that name a lot. Like Jim Lee works with I think Alex Sinclair quite a bit, and I
Mhm.
can see why, because that motherfucker is, oh,
Mhm.
some of that man's color work, like probably.
It's the spot, man. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yes. So
yeah.
in my last Substack, I did call out a name and said, I got some good Jim Lee. I got some good Jim Lee in my collection, and he's always been one of my favorites from when I was little, and it's a long, long time ago, press. Sorry, Jim. But you know, I said, I got some. I feel like he's been curating at least some of this. I don't know how hands on he's been, but I'm sure he's curated some of this, and probably some of the shit that I love has his fingerprints on it. And I just said, you know what, I got some good Jim Lee stuff. I'm gonna throw it out there. I'm gonna throw this into the void, put it in my Substack, Jim Lee. You wanna do something 50-50? Now I don't want to put you on Front Street or whatever. You could give it to charity if you want. If you got enough money, let's do it 50-50. You give your 50 to charity, whatever, you know. And maybe that starts the floodgates of getting some other collectors to do this with me. And we start a little suicide squad, of
Mm.
collectors that are gonna share with the artists, and
That's,
make it, and we need to make it fairly easy.
mhm.
I mean, that's why we need kind of DC and Candy to
Facilitate.
facilitate something, to make sure that no one's getting scammed, or this is, you're truly sharing with the artists. Um and everybody wants auctions. Let's go. you know uh, let's get some,
Mhm.
auctions going. I think there's a good way to start that.
A tactical, the beautiful thing about this is if an artist makes an account of, let's say, if they're over an X or they speak to you on Substack, you're able to verify that's them through an official email, whatever. You can start sending money, and let's say if transfers were enabled, you can imagine transfers are enabled. You can even send the comic. Like there's so many dynamics where we want to get closer to the artist. Digital signature, a some sort of verification. We all want to get close to the source material as we want. The thing hanging out from behind me, right?
Nice.
It's the cover art for Batman: The Legacy Cal Chapter 1. The
Yep.
only one exists from Mikel Janin, and he's verified it. I have the 2022 mint number, literally where 2022 mint number. Shout out to Adriel who sold that to me. Matching that, I have the 1059 original cover sketch where they put the back out on top.
Yeah.
I bought the mint zero of that, and I have matching of that. Like literally, I'm about as close to the source material. I'm trying to rep the digital collecting space, the digital comic space, the back house, the comics, both things. It's what we're doing here is almost as enjoyable as it gets, man. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah, for
Like
sure. This is all.
this is this is so amazing, and we're able to share it to the world. And you're right. I think the digital space is ripe for a discussion on how is this going to evolve with AI, with the artists, with the consumers. I'm sure this is why DC is here, right? They're thinking of the same thing every single day, and yeah, it would be good to involve the artists a bit more, but to tie it back down, the people actually helping us with this collecting experience. Hey, you got some real love from the digital side. Let's see where we go from here. So beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we always say we're early about stuff. We are early. But we can mold this into what we want it to be. I mean, that's the beauty of Web3, whether that's a dirty word or not, whatever. Web3, whatever it is, the next,
The NFT
the,
word is probably the dirty.
yeah,
I
NFT,
think get rid of it, right?
whatever it is, we can mold it. We own these things for real. And um, you when you get into this space, you start to realize that it's like you do own it. You feel the ownership. When I'm flipping through my collection, um, it's mine. It's my collection.
Hmm,
You know,
absolutely.
and just because I don't have it physically in my hands or whatever, that has no, like, it doesn't, like, I do have it in my phone and physically in my hands, but not the physical object. I don't feel like I'm losing anything there.
Sure.
Like,
Even more so if you actually own it in your digital hard wallet, the token. Even
yeah, when
more.
we have the true ownership, yeah, yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
I mean, even more so. And again, I just wanted to slide that in there because we have a bunch of topics that we probably won't get through. But that is the next level where even the platform can't take your account. It's in your
Yep,
hard wallet. The proof of ownership for edition 1, you only have the one link to it, and sitting in your cold wallet, like and take care of that. It should be on some impenetrable vault made
yep,
by the Kryptonians or something. But hey, I wanted to touch on a few key topics here. which is the differences and similarities in physical and digital comic collecting. Because we're here, what got you into the digital side? You said you minted the back, Al, and then you've seen the comics. Were you a comic fan? Were you a physical comic collector before? Um, Talk to me a bit about this one and your thoughts on this.
Yeah, so I I was a physical comic collector. I got probably 15 or so long boxes in the basement. Maybe one of these episodes will venture into the basement and just grab some shit and look through it. Um, but that was probably 20, 25 years ago when I stopped that. Um, you're just life takes you in different directions, and
Hmm, sure.
um, as your and weirdly, as your physical collection gets bigger and bigger, it starts to get a little like unwieldy to move that shit to apartment to house or whatever. You're moving 15 long boxes of comics. Um, so shout out to digital collecting there too. You can be as big of a hoarder as you want, and it doesn't take up any space. Um, but
Until you
I
see the
kind
leaderboard and you go, holy shit, what have I done? But hey, that's a great problem to have. But please, no, sorry, continue. I was
um,
yeah.
but yeah, so but I stayed, you know, you can kind of see behind me a little bit. I
Mhm,
strategically placed myself by my bookcase, but I got a bunch of, graphic novels and stuff like that that
mhm,
we can go through sometime too. I threw the collectibles out there. They were in the back closet. I don't do too many physical collectibles, but I had to take down the family pics and put up the collectibles for a little while.
mhm,
But the graphic novels back there are always there. So I kind of graduated to that where I wouldn't be going to the comic shop every week or whatever and keep amassing this collection of comic books. I would just grab graphic novels um, that I would like. I wouldn't, like I recently bought the All Star Superman um, collection or whatever in graphic novel form because I wanted to read that. Um, but yeah, so I can kind of just do. I'm not like weekly doing comics, but if I see something I want to read, like I just picked up, I put a couple there. I just picked up this one um,
nice.
to read. So this is a collection of 12. You can see where I'm at. uh, but that's a collection of 12 uh,
Mhm,
artist specific, like they could do whatever they wanted. So there's 12 different artists. They each had 48 pages, I think, to do whatever the hell they wanted in the DC universe.
wow.
They could use whatever character they wanted, whatever. So I'm only partly through it, but that recent Spectre 54 release with the Richard Corbin cover got me going down the Richard Corbin wormhole, and that led me to this because he does one of the issues.
Mhm,
And so these are the wormholes I've been going down as a digital collector, getting some physical stuff again because of what the digital side is doing.
mhm.
Um,
Okay.
so so that I kind of went on a tangent again on you there,
No, no,
Prez,
no,
but
no, no.
uh,
Honestly, this is all gold. I think you encapsulate someone who has embraced both sides without um getting too far biased in, and that's why I wanted to be quite balanced in this one. So if we go, let's do some pros and cons quickly. Just quick shoots. So pros of physical comics for yourself.
yeah, I mean, as a comic book collector, you love the smell. There's a certain smell, especially like you walk into an old comic book shop. There's just a smell to it, and
Mm.
so
Being able to
that's
touch
part
it,
of it.
put it close to your face.
Oh,
There's
sometimes you do. It's weird.
right like the Martian Manhunter one recently, right? It's two different pages in the digital side, but in I guess the physical side, you can actually hold it up to the light and you could see him kind of morphing into right
Oh,
the
nice. I didn't
yeah
even
that's
know that.
right, right, no, that's yeah. that's pretty much. There is a post about this I made, but
Okay.
that I shared. See quickly. But obviously, it's not something that's been embraced yet, unless interactive comics are here. So I just want to quickly share this. I mean, that's pretty cool, and that was unique. See this one? Um, there we go. So if you
Okay.
hold it up to the light, you can kind of see his alien form.
Nice.
I
Yeah,
mean,
so
that's
you can't do that with the digital yet. I
not
mean,
yet,
maybe we
not yet,
maybe
right?
yeah,
Right?
maybe we can someday if we can read them and with our virtual glasses or whatever. But yeah, so physical obviously has its own, its
And then
own
the OG,
greatness.
the
There's
OG,
nothing there's yeah.
yeah,
Um so
the
yeah,
value,
physical
the value,
you don't
the people that are collecting like 9.8s of Superman one are like, if they find this stash in your grandma's like basement, they're like, yeah,
yes.
they've made it in life. Like, that just doesn't happen in digital because we know where they are. We
Yes.
kind of know where they sit. It's a crazy one. Again, probably not enough love for it now, but let's talk about the cons then, because like for example, myself, like I used to read them in the library, and then now it's kind of easy to kind of just Google it and then read them off your phone. Not even the ones in Candy, right? There's a lot of people that rip comic books out. It's been the fundamental question for a lot of Marvel or DC or whatever else, right? What's your thoughts on the cons of comics? Where is it headed? What and why do you think they're so threatened about digital? I know it's not going to be answered in one stream, but just a quick take.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the cons is just you run out of space, I guess. Like I was saying about lugging these long boxes around or whatever. You either have to become a seller or open your own comic store if that's what the case. The biggest con for physical, I think, is just space.
Mhm,
Just like how much you can collect, it kind of just it limits you at some point. Other
mhm,
than that, if you love physical, I mean, then that's what you should do. I think digital is good um,
mhm,
supplement if to a physical collector. I think I think as we continue to grow, there'll be certain people that still collect mostly physical, but they might have at least a few digital. And I think there's also people that mostly do digital and that are gonna go into the physical side, at least get a few physicals.
mhm,
I don't think there's many people that are just going to do only one or the other. I think the the future is some combination, and everybody's little slider is going to be different as to this side is more physical, this side's more digital. Everyone's slider is going to be a little bit different on what they prefer.
mhm,
Um, but I mean, I don't think these
mhm.
digital ones are going away. I don't what percentage of the market they end up being is up for debate for anybody. But I don't think this is just personal, but I don't think the physical collector should be threatened by this. I think it's a supplement. It's brought me back into, and again, I'm just speaking for me, it's brought me back into the fold. As a former physical comic collector, finding these digital comics, it's got me back, you know. Well, you see the
Hey,
numbers, wholeheartedly. It's got me back. And I can't be the only one. And I'm not going to sit here and diss physical. So, like, there's nothing the physical collector should be afraid of. And you don't have to totally embrace it and go crazy, but there are so many like cool digital exclusive covers and little Easter eggs, and I've been loving this curated journey by DC. You
same.
know,
Mhm.
like I don't care what comes out next. I'm looking to see it. I don't know.
Sure.
I'm just on the journey, press.
No, sure. Spurs for digital.
So
Easy.
yeah, like I was, yeah, that's I can go on the pros for days probably, but space. They're just sitting on your phone or whatever. You can pull them out and flip. I flip through my collection all the time, just for the hell of it. And
It's
I
lovely.
can't tell you the last time I went down in the basement and flipped through my physical collection. I can just pull these up and read them and
Hmm.
whatever. So,
One.
and the fact that you can buy
Very.
and sell them so easily
Mhm.
is, it's possibly a pro and a con, but
Because you,
I don't
yeah.
even know how to, go ahead, Prez. I'm sorry.
No, no, no. You don't even have to sell. No, honestly, that is it. It's the easy access to the market to read them to
Yeah, you can
ver.
see exactly how many were made.
That's what I was gonna say. It's tougher for physical. Like I said, like someone could just find a 9.8 of Superman 1 somewhere potentially. I'm not saying they could because it's highly unlikely, but they could. But whereas in the digital side, we know where the wallet sits. We
Yeah,
could we could speculate on it coming out, or is this more of a flipper account, or is this a real collector? It's going to cost me money.
yeah.
The
And as
game,
time
the game
goes
is
on, people
right.
are gonna, like, forget about it, or or pass away, and then you can't get into their wallet or whatever. So how many of these digital ones are going to be gone forever too? I mean, it's kind of
Burn.
like the same.
You could burn it too. You could see you went to the burn wallet. You could see the actual supply. It's honestly,
Yeah,
and to me, this is the scary part, right? Because to the more conventional ones, it's such a new ground. And again, I mean, I'm quite happy to foray into the cons. Is it's because it's new ground, people could get overwhelmed pretty quickly, and because it's digital, for the less tech savvy, they're prone to, especially when you get the self custody. And I'm saying self custody is 99% the most amazing thing ever, but there are people that might get scammed pretty easily by clicking on a wrong link, which in real life they'll have to pry it away from your hands, which is sorry, which
yeah,
is different. So I, honestly, like as you said, both of these have merits in its own right, and they're so satisfying in their own ways. But yeah, man, I mean, digital comics, digital collecting is the future for when we talk about collecting, right? And talk about you know yeah, we can talk about other things, but yeah, for the collecting aspects of comic books in itself, DC is well ahead of the game, in my opinion. So ahead of the game.
yeah. They've
No,
been
no
doing this for
shade
a
to
long time.
Marvel.
No one.
Right, no shade to
We've been here.
Marvel, but yeah, I'm shading Marvel a little bit because DC is so far ahead of the digital game when it comes to curating, to the edition numbers, the ownership, the personal journey, the intimacy of going into it with their community. It's just fucking unbelievable, like honestly. And also because I'm posting about an artist in X, they get to see it, right? It's just like being closer to the source material and everything else. But no, I just wanted to, yeah. But sorry, you said there's constant digital comics. Sorry for yourself as well. Sorry. Right, sorry, I got lost there.
Love it, Prez. Love it. I love those tangents.
Sorry, go ahead, man. What's the cons for yourself for digital comics right now, as
Um,
for the DC, I guess. Yeah.
yeah. Just, yeah, adoption, I guess, is a little bit part of a con right now, because they have to be explained a little bit. Um,
No shit.
just like, yeah,
Yeah.
I,
How about not get like dirty looks from your comic book store or something like, at the start.
yeah, and like you were saying, it's possible that once we have self custody or whatever, there's going to be some scams and stuff in regards to that. But hopefully, we keep the custodial aspect. So if someone still wants to just leave their stuff in the candy wallet, they can feel a little more safe if that's how they feel their collection is safer, you know.
Well,
Um,
I would say some people that are diehard against, especially when they're married to a centralized platform, they're gonna try and justify the safety aspect. But actually, this is your
how
true
safe is
ownership.
it?
Right, right. It's like, do you want to own your asset and no one can take it away from you, or you want to fully trust the people holding your asset to never take it away from you? Um, I've been on the other end where it has been taken away from me. Um,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
tougher, right? It's different. It's circumstantial. Once you've, unless you've been in that shoe, it's tougher to say. And like you said, it's harder to market. It's such a new asset class. Been around
yeah,
what, 3 years? Maybe that, maybe more, maybe less, right? Maybe
yeah.
more, a
Like,
bit more, just a bit more, right? So it's new. Like, all of this is new, right? We're
yeah,
that's why we're in the ups and downs. But no, like I said, like you mentioned this before, you know, a lot of people are finding a joy in doing both, and I've certainly gone into absolute on physicals, and then kind of weaned off it because now I can just read it, right? Because I guess I've been speculating the values on the ones, and it's those things like, and I don't want to get too much there, but all right, quick one then, moderns and legacies comics.
yeah. I mean, probably can debate this for days too, but I
Mhm.
think there's room for, like I always kind of say, it's just there's room for everybody to get what they love. I mean, as long as you're kind of collecting what you truly love, then like do it. You know, it could be the moderns, could be the legacies, could be the ones people are shitting on, that are just like,
It's a similar thing with the absolute, right? It's getting so much attention. They, like Scott Snyder was talking about, going back in writing for the main line because he wants to give that formula back there, because, and it's crazy. It's a push and pull. So I guess legacy, as you put it, would be a lot of the speculators for the value, right?
yeah, I think the
But then
way I
the
kind of
modern, yeah,
go ahead, Prez. I'm sorry.
I was going to finish off, and then the moderns need a bit of help in terms of sales, because a lot of people instantly sell out the legacy, like the one coming up in April, the Lex Luthor FA, right? That's
Oh
got
yeah,
it.
that's gonna sell
I mean,
out immediately.
that's gonna
Like
happen. Yeah,
that's
that's
not even speculation.
right. That's not Lex Luthor, right? And then, but then
Yes.
you get the moderns. It's like, oh, suddenly we lost Absolute Wonder Woman 6, and I'm like, oh, where is it? Oh crap, I'm gonna have to read that somewhere else. What do you think they could do then? Um, and I'll let you kind of finish your point off here. But the additional question I have on top, if you can answer it, is what could they do to help the moderns? But yeah, please.
Yeah, I was gonna say kind of like legacy is so moderns versus legacy. Legacy is kind of, if you look at it this way, is like the physical value is pulling is like bleeding into the digital value. You know what I mean? Like people are looking at the physical value
Hmm.
and then they say, okay, let's this digital one, it's going to be worth a good amount because of that physical value, and possibly, because of scarcity and whatnot of the physical, whatever. You're looking at it more of a like a reflection of the physical.
Hmm.
Whereas I think on the modern side, I think the digital could pull the physical because of some of the scarcity of some of this modern stuff. Um, I think the value might accrue on the digital side first
Wow,
and then bleed to the physical side
wow,
because of the scarcity aspect.
wow. That
That's
is
kind of
crazy.
the way I look at it.
Wow, that is amazing. Yeah, yeah.
But
And people probably take care more of their physicals these days than they used to, right? And
yeah, so
that's why the legacies have a lot more value, because no one took care of them back in the day. They didn't think it was going to accrue so much value. It's
no,
crazy,
people,
right? It's a
yeah,
value game. Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
yeah, people pay a ton for, a ripped cover, half cover, maybe partial pages of a Superman 1 physical because they're so rare. They just want that physical one, even if it's all beat to hell. You know, um,
Amazing
whereas
discussion.
these moderns, they're people can just get them from the store and send them to CGC or whatever to get graded, and there's a ton of 9.8s or whatever. But whereas on the digital side, these are scarce. These are there's it's verifiable that how little of some of these covers there are. On the physical side, there could be a ton. I don't know. I don't know the physical game like that. But on the digital side, I do know that some of these moderns, especially some of these recent releases, the scarcity of these, whew, man, this is just speculation, never financial advice, but take a look at
That's
some of
why
them
you do
moderns.
what you do. No, it's
Yeah, take a look at some of them moderns. Take a look at that art. Take a look at how few there are. Take a look at the number of owners versus,
Mhm.
how many there are. And then maybe try to take a look at who owns them motherfuckers and see if you're in some good diamond hands. You know what I'm saying, Press?
I definitely
So
I know exactly
that's
what you
like
mean. And this
so
is the funny thing. I want to add a footnote to that. As a seasoned sniper and negotiator, whatever else, these guys, right? The buyers know when it hurts the most. They won't. They know when you're on the verge of tanking the floor. They will wait. I know Meat Angel does this a lot. I know a lot of people, right? Because you're a buyer, you're providing liquidity to the market, right? And
yes.
again, this is off the cuff, but buyers know when they're their sole person buying, they're not going to be stupid. They're going to wait until it hurts the most. Because at the end of the day, you can only have so much liquidity too to spread around, right? But
Exactly.
no matter what smokescreen you put in there, I'm going to throw 50K in the market, whatever. There needs to be some belief into what you hold, and a lot of the stream today is talking about our speculations in the future and people's collecting styles. Not knocking any of them, but
Yeah, no.
yeah,
Collect
it's
what you
but,
love.
but it's a crazy thing. Like buyers aren't stupid. I wanted to say, right, and just throw this in here. It's not really a curveball, but I wanted to, in my personal opinion, these are the three things that have sold the most volume around on the platform since it existed, which is comics, obviously digital comics. The mint numbers has thrown around some good value, like, and it still existed today. And I would say the back house, right? I'm not gonna touch too deeply into the back house today because it's not what the stream is about. Maybe episode two, but to me, those three things are king in terms of volume and interest and followers. So very interesting. And we talked a bit about fungible and non-fungible, which is um,
Yeah,
come
that's just to finish the thought on that or whatever is just like um if if these comics didn't have edition numbers or mint numbers, then I mean we're basically what trading meme coins with low liquidity or you know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
like they need to be differentiated somehow. Um, and so mint numbers, edition numbers, those are that's what differentiates these things. Um, so
That's okay. Again, just scrolling off my list, and then there's self custody. We talked about. I think in detail about true ownership, the security aspects that you need to do or hold it in a centralized wallet. But again, it's all
yeah,
about truly owning your asset. Um, and you talked a bit about the state of the market right now. Um, and I don't obviously, again, it's up to you if you wanted to give a state of the nation, but you mentioned something about there's all time low floors all over the place. Why do you think this is? Where do you think we are?
um, I think we're getting to the point where people are starting to come back. Um, and this just a little side note here is I like to buy some shit from people sometimes that has been sitting out there for a long time as a little bit of a callback, like like hey, someone just bought something from you,
Mhm,
ding, come on back to the market.
mhm,
Um, but uh, I think people are starting to come back, and maybe they're seeing that some of the stuff that they thought was going to be higher priced by now maybe is not. But you know, they still maybe bought it at mint. You know, maybe they whatever. I just got a couple epic Blue Beetles, number one from um, for under $20, and um, one of the things I looked at was the sales and just sort by price, low to high, all time, and they that getting them for under 20 is like all time low pretty much. Besides people who minted them for 9.99.
Mhm.
Okay, and so if someone comes back to the market and they minted one of those for 9.99 and they see that it's selling for 20 still, maybe they put it back up for 20 or for 15. They're still making money.
Mhm.
You know, they're still making money on that. So it seems to us like, why are you selling that shit so low? But to them, they're coming back and they made $5.
Hey, so tactical to me as well. It's different because we have limited features in the marketplace right now. There's no auctions, there's no instant sell like offers, like they would say it'll be on OpenSea, but that won't be
Yeah,
the case sometimes, right? There might be an easier time for. I'm not saying just the whales, but liquidity in itself could be easier. It's because we don't have that. We have the limited amount of people that we have now because of whatever reason, the leadership, the platform limitations, the announcement, right? Could be many things, but if it was a free market on using the Web3 tools like offers, transfers, even custody is going to change this game. People will have more liquidity to move this around, and then we'll see. We'll talk again, right? Because this is a move
yeah,
like right now in the ecosystem that we are in right now. It will the game is different. So the game
yeah,
is like this, but I think it might be subject to change. Again, I'm just putting my 2 cents in there. We
yeah.
might be
I'm
talking
but
something
like
different
the
really soon. Yeah.
yeah, the way I shop is not easy, press. I mean, like I know what I'm clicking on and off so I can see this or see that. Um, you know, it's not simple. If someone wants to come in there and do exactly what I'm doing, there's a learning curve if you want to. I would love to share. I mean, there's no secrets in what I'm doing. Maybe we'll have a podcast with that someday. But it's 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 not simple for someone. Even if someone reads my Substack, like I like what this motherfucker's saying. They might just like have a difficult time sorting through things and whatever. I mean, I don't want to get into pet peeves with Candy, but can I can I search by cover artist, please? You know, if I'm a Jim Lee fan and I type in the search Jim Lee, man, that's bullshit that comes up. Come on. That's the one gripe that I want to throw out there in this first episode here, Prez, is that please, can I search by cover artist and it work?
Oh, it doesn't work, right? Wow.
No, put in Jim Lee.
No, I tried. I just
There's some shit comes up that ain't even Jim Lee,
tried. Right. Well, I'll try.
you know?
Yeah.
So so, like I said, I don't want to shit on whatever. Candy, you're doing stuff. I love it. But that's one thing that's been a pet peeve of mine for a long time.
Well, yeah. Okay. Well, I just did it. Ah, but it doesn't do everything.
Yeah, did you get the absolutes
Yeah.
that where he did, did
Hmm.
you get um
Hey, but hey, like I said, tactical. And probably a good segue right now is um, let's wait for the announcement, eh? This
yeah,
might change. This might all change.
that would be great.
Like I said, man, it might be soon. And like I said, we're fed up with soon because the soon has been here forever. But okay, that's cool. And some final ones then. Um, before we segue into the next episode, what are your thoughts
Yeah, there's
on
got to be a next episode.
absolutely? And yes, and it's gonna be my turn a little bit, I guess, for the back house side. But
Yeah,
we can have a little as to why. But yeah, this is all about you. But what are your thoughts on the metaverse? And you said I remember you said something like the comics have proven value, and you don't have to have a speculative value. And we talk about this, right? What are your thoughts in the metaverse?
Um, yeah, I mean, I anything that DC and Candy are putting out there, I appreciate, and anything that you love in your mind, I can dig all that stuff, the future value that some of these 3D items might hold. Um, but yeah, like I think we were saying this when we were chatting a little bit.
Mhm.
Uh, it,
A
it's just like,
preview of episode 2, I guess. This is
yeah, that stuff needs
oomph.
some extra love. It needs
Time.
some
Time.
it needs some extra time to be able to use those things the way you want to use them.
Mhm.
Um,
Whereas
whereas the
comics
digital
are
comic books, you can just read them.
right.
Like you
It's
don't
there.
need.
It's a finished
I don't
product.
need a holo. Yeah, I
Right.
don't need a holographic projector to do that. It'd be cool, but I don't need it.
Mhm.
And I don't need a 3D environment to read it in or whatever. And again, no shade towards those items. They just need a little extra help to get, to make those a little more where more people like understand them and dig them and want to own because people in Fortnite or whatever, they're buying shit all the time, skins and uh outfits for their characters and things like that, but you don't technically own them. So and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole,
Hey,
but
look, look, and this is it. This is the preview of the next episode. Like I said, this is about your collection, your thoughts. Tactical, is there anything you want to finish out with? This has been a preview of what's in your mind. Um, it's been such a pleasure. Like I said to you,
same,
the
man,
hour
same.
the hour
I
wouldn't fail.
appreciate it.
And actually, it's not even an hour; it's an hour and 20 or something. But is there any final thoughts that you wanted to share before we close out your first episode? And like I said, thank you so much.
No,
Um,
thank you.
guys, by the way, if you're watching this and you've enjoyed this, give this a like, put a comment, go to his Substack, go and subscribe to his Substack, drop him some love, share your thoughts into the deep, but we've kind of like drive by these topics, but I hope we haven't missed out anything. Is there any final thoughts you want to give for this first episode?
uh, yeah, first of many more, hopefully. Basically, yeah. I mean, stop by Substack if you want to chat. I'm an open book. Come over and ask me some shit. Like for real. But I just, keep it respectful and stuff. It's my Substack, please. And I don't want to be shilled to, or I don't want you to come and try to whatever pump your bags and all that. You want to do that on Discord, or whatever. You come to my Substack, it's a chill space, man. You just chat, whatever. Like I said, ask me something. I'll get back to you. Um, and it might not always be super quick. Like it's laid back. It's laid back, and so stop by. And if you want to read my Substack, I suggest you truly spend some time and read it uh, instead of throwing it through some AI thing that's going to tell you a little bit, give you the little gist of everything. Just spend a little time and read it if you feel maybe I'm a kindred spirit. Um, but yeah, basically the last thing I want to leave you with is collect what you love. That's why I got so many low edition numbers and special edition numbers and all that stuff. That's what I love. And the ones I got super stacks of, it's pretty much the art that I love, the cover art. So there's no wrong way to collect.
No, Tactical. It's been amazing. I want to leave it here.
Say,
I feel like I feel like, to be honest, we could actually have gone on for a lot longer. Like, I really enjoy this. And yeah, watch out for episode 2 and the announcement.
yeah, that
Uh,
sounds great, man.
such a pleasure, and wow.
Pleasure's been mine.
So
Pleasure's been mine,
good.
Press.
Honestly, let's do more of this. And legend is born, ladies and gentlemen. Tactical, um, amazing. The Tactical.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it, man. Take care.
Take care.